So here we are on the 4th, is it the 4th of April? Yes, it is, 2018. Because I've never been able to successfully breed long-eared owls, I'm going to be really indulgent and make a video of the first time that I have little chicks, and I'm going to show you. Any of you that haven't seen them before, might be an opportunity for you to see what they're like as day owls. It's kind of exciting, in a harmless kind of way. I've been years waiting for this, so it's, yeah, I was really pleased actually, I have to say. But I wanted to show you, first of all, the setup that I have for them, and then the chicks themselves, and a little bit about what my plans. I had to make a decision last night when I checked the nest, because once I disturbed the female, she got very agitated, and I hadn't disturbed her for the month, and I really felt I needed to know whether she was sitting on blank eggs at this stage, because she may have just kind of sat there indefinitely, and I had to check. And the male got particularly defensive and aggressive and territorial, so I just felt, had I just gone out and left, haven't disturbed the nest, I pretty much believe that the nest may have been destroyed by the male this morning, and the chicks could have been gone, which is not unusual in owls, particularly if the nest is disturbed. So it was an informed decision. She has 2 other eggs. One is chipping away, and I have it in a special brooder that I got there recently, and the other one is about maybe 2 or 3 days behind, and then there was 1 clear egg. So she had 5 eggs in total, which was really good. And I set 2 chicks out last night. One was about a day old yesterday, and the other one I'd say wasn't long hatched when I discovered the nest last night, or when I looked at the nest rather. So yeah, so I'm going to give you a quick look around to show you the setup and how I'm going to hand rear them. By the way, it is so cold here in Galway today. It's not even funny. I have to set up a gas heater in my garage. My garage is well insulated here, but it's just particularly cold. I think it was like -3 last night, and it's meant to drop to -6 tonight. So just, you know, for the beginning of April, our weather is just relentless this year for some reason. Anyway, okay, so this is my little setup where I'm going to rear them from here on, and there will be hand-reared, chicks, which I love doing actually. I know some people think it's very, very hard work, which it can be, because there's a lot of hours and you need a lot of patience. I really enjoy it actually, but I've never hand-reared long-eared owls, so it's a totally new experience for me here. So what I'm using, okay, my camera's swaying here, it's not the camera, it's me. This is my intensive care unit. I love this machine. I got it about 3 years ago. The brooder that I had before that belonged to a different century. It was a timber cabinet with blades inside it that circulated the air. It was a hideous, hideous thing. I have the wounds on my hand since. Mind you, it did work, but there was no digital or technology in it at all. It was just a fan-assisted brooding machine. It did work, but it was dangerous, and I didn't trust it in the end. So this machine I got is a reputable machine. It's the TLC Eco. I think it's the 40, TLC 40. Look, I'm not getting any commission from Brincy or anything like that, but it's just a fantastic machine. I'm really, really pleased with it. It does exactly what it says in the box. What I love about it is that you have complete control over the settings. It's all digitalized. Regulate the humidity, regulate the temperature, the cooling periods. It's just a fantastic machine. The real bonus with it is that it's got this really strong plastic sheeting, so the whole thing can be taken apart, which I do twice a year, and the whole interior and exterior can be cleaned out, and even those dead hard to get at grooves in between where the machine joins can be thoroughly disinfected and cleaned. So it's a really, probably one of the best investments I ever had. Any of you that do have them or are new to them, I definitely recommend changing these filters, these dust filters, regularly. From my own experience, I think it's a good idea. There's no point putting them in the dishwasher or washing machine because they never come back the same. So it's always a good idea to change them. This little funnel here, I put an extendable arm onto that to reach down into the water pump, which keeps the humidity level balanced with the outside environment. So then my setup here is, most important thing is we have a clean work area, which I was a little bit kind of obsessive about. So lots of kitchen toweling. This kitchen toweling is brilliant. Always use one with a kind of an uneven, what I call an uneven surface, so that the owl chicks are able to grab onto it, even when they're at this very young kind of premature stage. It's much better than the smooth surface. And then my settings here are my equipments. The most vital things, I believe, is always have a good hand sanitizer. Now, I don't handle the birds with bare hands, but even though I'm wearing protective gloves, as you'll see here, I still put on hand sanitizer underneath that. Always have a back supply of your disposable gloves, dispose after every use. A good disinfectant, good professional disinfectant spray. I don't know who that company is, not promoting them either. I will promote Melton though. I mean, it's I wouldn't use anything else. I mean, if we can rear our babies on it, if we can rear our kids on Melton, we can with birds. And then I have these disposable wipes with a price tag on them from Super Service. And basically that just kind of cleans down I just clean down the inside of the machine if I notice any accumulative dust or anything like that, and they're fantastic. Then Tupperware, this is where I keep the meat that I have prepared for them. So when I take it out of the freezer, I let it thaw in this airtight compartment or Tupperware box. And then this other second one is where I keep my utensils. There's a story around this. This is a suture removal. What would you call it? A suture removal, scissors or needle, whatever you want to call it. I had that when I worked in theatre in the Mater about 30 years ago, which is really embarrassing to say. I didn't steal it. It ended up in my pocket accidentally, and once you take it out of a sterile environment, you couldn't bring it back, and it just stayed with me for years. I think if anything ever happened to that suture thing, I would have to go to therapy. But all of the utensils that I use are used only for this purpose. So I'm not in and out of the kitchen taking out fresh knives and forks and stuff like that. So I just sterilize these, and this is one for all. Same with the plate. The food I have prepared here for today, this is all just soft meat because they're so young and delicate. It's all soft meat product from this point. I have to say thanks to Peter Dowling for getting the pinky meat over to me this evening. Pete, you're a star if you're watching this. I just haven't had a chance to thaw it yet, so I'll have them on pinky meat this evening. Just them thawing in this box. Oh, no, sorry, in this box here. But for now, I'm just going to use very soft tissue from the breast of day-old chicks, and very small little bits of liver. I think the liver is great to get young birds of prey started. I'm not going to give them any roughage or anything like that yet, so it's all soft meat. So that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, really important little component as well. I always use this brooder, it's sanitizer, chemical, and just put a few drops into a container of water, which I have here. So that is full of that sanitizing agent, and I just repeatedly top up this little funnel here every day just to maintain the humidity. But they're a great idea. So you make it's, you know, if any bacteria is getting in, that sanitizing agent is going to have a preventative effect. So I'm using it kind of prophylactically, as they say. Okay, so are we ready to have a look? I'm going to try and set this camera up in a way that you can hear me, and more importantly that you can see, because it is more about seeing than hearing me. Anyway, let's have a look and we'll see how they're doing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out 2 containers, and I'm going to keep the machine closed while I'm working, because I don't want the heat to evaporate. This is a little Chinese bowl that somebody gave me as a wedding present years and years ago. I hated it. It came with a set. No offense to anybody from Asia, but I hated it. But it is fantastic for what I use it for owl chicks, because it has a nice circular shape. And what I find, and I will move them onto these little tray dishes in a couple of days when they're a little bit stronger, but I find that when they're owl chicks are only a day old or 2 days old, they tend to roll over onto their back, and if they're very premature, they might find it difficult to get back on all fours, as they say. So that's why I use these kind of contained dishes. So yeah, okay, let's leave down this camera and we'll have a look and see if I can set this up properly. I hope the light is good from that point. I'll add some artificial light to it just to help. Okay, come on, here we go. So this is the first guy. I'm just checking out just to see, is that working on the camera? Yeah. Okay. There we go. So for any of you that have never seen a day-old long-eared owl, voila, feast your eyes on that. I'm going to move the camera over a little bit and we'll have a closer look. There they are. They're very, very small. They're, I won't say delicate. They're pretty hardy considering. I was a little bit worried about the second one this morning. I have to admit, I couldn't get him to feed for me last night. Having said that, he was very young. He wasn't long born. But I had a doubt as to his strength compared to the other one. But he did feed for me while there about 2 hours ago. So let me see how this first one goes. The first guy is very. That's very good. I hope that's visible there now in the camera. So I suppose my motto with them is small little bits regularly. Hence the lack of sleep from last night. And the fact that I'm not in college today, but I'll make up for that again. So yeah, so this older guy, I'd say he might have been born on, what day is today? Wednesday. I'd say he could have been born maybe on Monday. He's just a lot more hardier, so you can see the day. I'd say her egg lay was quite close. I know that most people say there can be a 2-day interval. Yeah, or maybe let's do that. As I said, I fed this little guy about 2 hours ago, and it was the first time that he ate from me. And yes, he took it there. All right, okay. Hang on a second now. My goodness, I'm all fingers and thumbs. I know this sounds really daft, but I'm kind of nervous with it a little bit because I don't know, I suppose it's probably I'm just waiting for so long for this to happen. I haven't been this anxious since I was a new father come back all those years ago. Dean, by the way, in Australia, if you're watching this. Yeah, that's actually, even in the 2 hours since I fed him last, he's improved so much. As I was saying, I was worried about this little one this morning. She was, I'm saying she, it was quite unresponsive. Not unresponsive, it was just quite lethargic, kind of listless, didn't seem to be too interested in food. But I had them in 2 separate bowls, and what I did since was I put them back in a bowl to share with the other one, and since that he became a lot more responsive. Come on, I'm trying to take a look at the points. Okay. No, okay, that was too big. That was too big, that's my fault. That's my fault. Oops. One more little bit. Very good. That's really good. That's really, really encouraging to see. I always think the feeds for the first couple of days is just so indicative of how healthy your chick is. Mind you, I haven't said that. About 3 years ago, I had a baby barn owl that would not eat for me for love or money. For about the first 3 days, I could not get him to open his beak, no matter how I tickled around his mouth to try and encourage him to eat, to try and, I suppose, emulate what the parent would do in a real life situation. And I had pretty much given up. You're still hungry, are you? Yep. Okay. You little savage. But yeah, going back to my barn, I had literally given up, and I was kind of thinking, well, you know, he's obviously not going to make it, and it's not fair maybe to keep trying if he's not going to make it, if he's not compatible with life. And then I think it was on the 4th day, he was sitting at the glass of the brooder here one morning, waiting for me, screeching like I don't know what. So yeah, whatever that was about, I'm not too sure. But it's really good to see that these ones have. Now he's got a really, really good grab, that older bird, and surprisingly, he's got a good posture the way he's sitting as well for such a young bird. Okay, that's all I'm going to give them for now. As I said, small little bits regularly. Another thing that I check is their droppings. I'm going to see from that tissue. Can you see that, or is that visible? From the tissue that I took out, is that their droppings are good and healthy. So I'm just going to change that. And I'm going to put them back in. All right. Because even with the gas cylinder on here beside me, it's still really cold here. I got so many layers on me. I'm like an Eskimo. Okay, so I'll just show you this. So there they are. Now that might look a little bit contained, but they're literally just babies, and they're keeping each other warm as well. And as I said earlier on, what I've noticed is that the older one is stimulating the younger one, which is really positive. As nature would intend, as they say. And they're going back to sleep pretty much already. So yeah, hang on, I just popped them back in again. I will be moving them into a wider container like this one in a couple more days. We'll see how this. I'll keep it in there and keep it warm anyway. And just check that everything is okay. I have enough water in the funnel up there. So yeah, so that is the beginning of the journey of life for the two little long-eared owls. I hope the other egg pips or hatches successfully. Seems to be doing okay. It's quite slow. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Look, I know that this is kind of, in the scheme of things, this is kind of this is not front page news or anything like that. But, in a world when we're kind of constantly exposed to just terrible things happening around the world, and I don't know, just all the stuff that goes on, it's really, really nice to have this, this really kind of special experience with nature. It's lovely. I love it. I really enjoy it. And I'm really proud, actually. As I said, I've had long-eared owls for so many, many years, and I had pretty much given up that they were ever going to breed in captivity. So it is a lovely, lovely welcome, and yeah, it's not going to change the world, but look at it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll keep you updated on how they get on. And so there we go, 4th of April 2018.